Fearless, uncompromising, and above all, blindingly fast, Max Verstappen is a Formula One phenomenon. Almost genetically engineered to be a racing driver, he was catapulted into F1 aged just 17. Yet immediately proved himself up to the challenge and incredibly was a race winner barely a year later. This is the story of how the Flying Dutchman went from karting rookie to champion of the world. His tale really begins before he was even born. His mother, Sophie Kumpen, was highly successful in karting.
I drove against Truly Fisichella, Button, Marc Genet.
While his father, Jos, was an F1 driver himself for almost a decade. Once Max was old enough to start competing on track, he quickly proved to be a natural. Max was karting by 4 and competed in his first race when he was 7, with some of his rivals on the day as old as 11. It didn't matter. He won anyway. Not the last time the precocious young racer would prove youth and inexperience were no barrier to success. He racked up victory after victory, title after title, and aged 15, he became the youngest driver ever to win the Karting World Championship. In 2014, it was time to make the jump to cars, and after 2 wins in the Florida Winter Series, Verstappen skipped Formula Renault and jumped straight into Formula 3. It was a risky strategy, but he made it look easy, scoring a record 10 victories and just missing out on the title. The rookie had delivered in spectacular fashion. He was too fast, and the Formula One world couldn't wait any longer. Max skipped GP2 and joined Toro Rosso for 2015. At the season opener in Australia, he became the youngest driver ever to compete in F1 at 17 years and 166 days old, breaking the previous record by almost 2 years. Though his elevation to motorsport's top tier at such a tender age was not without controversy, with even his fellow drivers shocked at how young he was.
You were born in 97? Yeah. Jeez.
An engine failure meant a DNF on his debut in Melbourne. But 2 weeks later, he raced to P7 in Malaysia to become the youngest ever Formula One point scorer, smashing the record by more than 2 years. Nine more points finishes followed in 2015 as he firmly put to bed any notion that he was too young for F1. Inevitably, he was voted Rookie of the Year and won Action of the Year for his incredible move on Felipe Nasser at Spa.
Here goes Max Verstappen on Felipe Nasser, round the outside of Blanchimont. Is there enough room to go round the outside? No, because he gets onto the curb, but he's still hanging on in there is Max Verstappen. Under braking, he's got the inside line to the bus stop chicane. It's bold, it's brave, it's beautiful.
In 2016, his career took another giant leap forward when he was promoted to the senior Red Bull team just 4 races into the season.
Well, to be honest, I'm very happy with the chance they've given me. You're racing for a top team now, so that was always the plan, what I wanted to do.
It was an incredible rise. Just 2 years earlier, he'd been an F3 rookie, and now he had a seat at one of Formula One's top teams, and things were about to get even better. F1 was in the grip of Mercedes' dominance, and Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg locked out the front row at the Spanish Grand Prix. Verstappen was P4, behind new teammate Daniel Ricciardo in qualifying. Not a bad effort for his first go in the car. But no one could prepare Max for what was coming next.
And Hamilton's had a massive crash, and he's crashed into his teammate. The 2 Mercedes come together.
Suddenly, the race was wide open, and Verstappen saw his chance. On a different strategy to Ricciardo, he raced into the lead and then held off Kimi Räikkönen in the closing stages.
At 18 years and 227 days old, Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix. Yes! Yes!
Unbelievable, Max. Unbelievable.
He was now Formula One's youngest ever winner. It seemed no F1 records were safe from this extraordinary young talent. If his astonishing maiden win owed at least something to good fortune with the two Mercedes crashing out, there was nothing lucky about his drive in the Brazilian Grand Prix later that season, where he produced a display that had the pundits shaking their heads in disbelief at his skill and control. In a wet race at Interlagos, a late pit stop dropped him to P14 with just 16 laps left. What followed was a masterclass in wet weather driving as the fearless young Dutchman seemed to be racing on a completely different track to the rest of the field, finding grip where no one else could, even catching a high-speed spin and passing car after car as he hauled himself up onto the podium.
The confidence that Max Verstappen has in these conditions, expect to see more of that.
What a thrilling drive that was from Max Verstappen today.
His performance even drew comparisons to the iconic wet weather drives of the greats, like Ayrton Senna at Monaco in 1984 and Michael Schumacher's 1996 Spanish Grand Prix win. Verstappen managed 2 victories in 2017, but in 2018 he had a tricky start to the season, finding himself caught up in incidents at each of the first 6 races and crashing in practice at Monaco, forcing him to miss qualifying.
One of the favourites for pole position later on this afternoon has absolutely clobbered the Aramco.
Questions were being asked about his aggressive style behind the wheel, even by his own bosses at Red Bull. And for the first time in his career, there was a sense his previously unstoppable momentum was in danger of stalling. But he never showed a hint of self-doubt.
Well, I get really tired of all the comments of me, that I should change my approach, so I will never do that. So yeah, I'm just focusing on what's ahead. And I'm confident, that I can turn things around.
And so he did. The same weekend in Canada, he notched up a 3rd place, then a 2nd and a win in his next 2 races. With 5 victories already under his belt, securing his maiden pole position was only a matter of time. Surely enough, that elusive pole arrived in 2019 at the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Verstappen still on provisional pole. Can he extend his advantage? Yes, he can. Onto pole position and the 100th different pole sitter in Formula One sends these fans wild. It's Max Verstappen for the first time in Formula One on pole.
Better late than never, mate. Better late than never. Congratulations.
Yes, boys, come on. Yes. Oh, this feels good. This feels really good.
And despite Mercedes again having the dominant car, Verstappen still managed 3 victories that season, taking top spot on the podium in Austria, Germany and Brazil to underline his credentials as a frontrunner. In 2020, the COVID pandemic hit, delaying the start to the season. When it did get going, Mercedes still had the upper hand on Red Bull, but Verstappen fought his way to victories at Silverstone and in the season finale at Abu Dhabi. He was now well used to winning races, but was anxious to mount a real title challenge. And it became clear at the very first race of the 2021 season that Red Bull had given him a car to do exactly that. Pole position in Bahrain was followed by a tense and tight battle with reigning champion Lewis Hamilton to the flag. And when the lights went out at the next race at Imola, Verstappen barged his way past Hamilton at the first chicane.
Max Verstappen now on the inside joins Hamilton in battle. It is Hamilton and Verstappen. Verstappen and Hamilton wheel to wheel going into the Tamburello chicane. Hamilton is forced wide and he's lost a little bit of bodywork as well.
It was a bold, forceful move that not only gained him the lead of the race, but also made clear to Hamilton he was facing the fight of his life if he was to hang on to the championship crown he'd worn for so long. 4 more wins meant Verstappen arrived at the British Grand Prix leading the World Championship. But alongside Hamilton on the front row at Silverstone, it didn't take long for sparks to fly when the lights went out.
This time on the inside, a continent touch! Verstappen is out of the race and that's a big crash into Cobbs!
Verstappen soon hit back, winning his home race at Zandvoort in front of his orange-clad fans.
Turn up to the max, listen to that roar!
But his increasingly fierce rivalry with Hamilton boiled over again at Monza when they went into the first corner side by side.
And there's Max Verstappen right behind Hamilton into the first chicane once again. It's wheel to wheel, Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out, and they are both out.
They touched on track again at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as the tension ratcheted up another notch on the streets of Jeddah.
So let's give the position back to Hamilton. Obviously, do that strategically. Give the position back.
Oh, they've touched and they've collided! What is going on here in Jeddah tonight?
After all the drama, controversy and hard racing across the year, the two rivals went into the season finale level on points to set up a winner-takes-all title shootout in Abu Dhabi. And with less than 10 laps to go, Hamilton was leading and on course to win until the race was turned on its head on lap 50.
Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. That will be a safety car. This now completely changes the context of this race.
When the safety car was brought in, Verstappen was right behind Hamilton and ready to attack. The World Championship itself coming down to a single lap battle between the two rivals.
Hamilton has the advantage, Verstappen has the faster, fresher tyres, and we have got 3.2 miles of racing action all the way to the checkered flag as the crowd roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race, and Verstappen sets after Hamilton. Is it going to be a first World Championship for Verstappen? Is it going to be an 8th World Championship for Lewis Hamilton? Where can Verstappen try and get past Hamilton? First overtaking zone is normally down into turn 5. Is Verstappen far enough back? He's going to make the lunge down the inside. Hamilton sees him coming. It's a late lunge by Verstappen, who takes the lead of the race. Verstappen now snatches the championship trophy from Lewis Hamilton, who's trying to fight back.
It had been a long, grueling, intense battle, but Verstappen had done it. He was world champion, and he'd won it in perhaps the most dramatic way possible.
They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world.
Oh my Lord, Max! Oh my
Yes! Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my God!
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
While 2021 had been a fierce and finely poised battle that could have gone either way, 2022 saw Verstappen grow into his role as reigning world champion. But it didn't get off to the best start for the newly crowned Dutchman, with 2 DNFs in the first 3 races. If Max was worried, he never looked it. The floodgates opened, and he took 10 wins from the next 14 races. It wasn't always easy, but the Dutchman simply proved he was in a class of his own. By now, Verstappen was riding high. experiencing the kind of dominance only the greats ever manage. And it was soon a question of when, not if, he'd follow up his maiden title with a second. A Singapore stumble delayed the inevitable, but nothing would hold him back in Japan. And after his 12th glorious victory of the year, he clinched title number 2. After the ferocious battle and down-to-the-wire tension of his 2021 title, this one was a different kind of championship victory.
You know, that was the perfect scenario to win it here, and we did that. Of course, let's say a little bit delayed, but yeah, still very happy to win it. The race as well, I mean, the car was again on fire.
It's been an astonishing rise for the young rookie who had to beg his father for his first kart. And given that he's still only 25, who knows how much more success will come his way and how many more records he might break before he finally closes the book on his Formula One story.